been waiting for this week all year, the week where you get to prepare for, that you get to go after your former head coach. Now, I know that some of my takes you may not agree with, and a lot of you may not agree with. That's cool. A lot of you may or even agree with them. That's cool too. But one thing that is for sure for me is that if you're so big of a Rudy Poo to think that Paul Mainieri is not going to pull every single little thing to take a series away from you this weekend, then you're an idiot. I grew up in baseball. 60 years of head coaching experience in my family. I don't know about some of you, but you're an idiot if you believe that Paul Mainieri is not going to do every single little thing in his power to make sure that he takes a series from you this weekend. Notice, that's not me saying that LSU is losing this weekend. Not at all. You know, I get sent shit when I'm at the gym because we got to go live at 2 because we got a T-ball game tonight. We're finally back on the diamond. And I'm getting sent this shit. And it blows my mind. I'm done. I'm done. I'm not even – come do something about it then. Because this constant little petty shit that's going on, don't like the opinion. Who gives a shit? But when you're constantly arguing with media members – and then you're backing the one who got a story completely wrong last week, who called us Chicken Little, get out of my face with that shit, man. That dude doesn't know shit. So I'm tired of the petty little shit. I didn't do nothing. I gave an opinion. Don't agree with it. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? But I promise you this. Baseball is a sport. When you think that you're going to walk past an opponent, they will whip your ass. Because nobody in the country, no one, as much as I love even saying this about A&M, no one in the country had A&M beating or losing to Missouri and getting swept. Maybe I could have convinced you that they lose to Missouri. Would have been far-fetched. No one had you getting run ruled by Northwestern State. Baseball is not one of those sports that anything can't happen. Like, for example, UMass isn't going to come into Baton Rouge and beat you in a football game. You can hate A&M all you want. UMass isn't walking into College Station and beating them. In baseball, you saw what probably is the unthinkable this weekend. He's going to do everything that he can to take you down. Now, you're coming off a series and a response, which, by the way, you have not been great on the road at all this year. And I do think that you can really take it to South Carolina. And I think that you will. But the title of this episode is Finish Strong. Come at me all you want to. But my goodness, this pettiness about something that because I had to take before you did, my God, they're going to take it to you. Speaking of baseball, we're going to break down the Arkansas series. Oh, and by the way, the little posse that keeps coming after me every single week, it feels like, that same little posse, one of them was at the Tennessee game, didn't say shit to us. I'm standing right next to you. Say something. Say something. Funny how Twitter fingers don't come into reality. All right. Speaking of Arkansas, you took 2 out of 3. You look really good doing it. We'll talk about that as well here tonight. It's Friday and Saturday. You absolutely did exactly what the top team of the country, which you are right now, the number 1 team in the country, needs to do. And I know that you wanted to sweep Arkansas this weekend. I know. But I just am not going to – I'm barely going to react to you losing the game on Sunday. Good teams are going to find a way to take 1 out of 3. Sorry. It's just it's going to happen. Teams will find a way. But we'll break that Arkansas series down. Carter Bryant joins us at 2:30, 2:35-ish. We'll talk about a lot of the things going around LSU football. I'll ask him some of the things. Look, a lot of post-spring power rankings or post-spring rankings. I love Josh Pate. I do. I think he's really good at what he does. He came out today and had Clemson at number 1. We'll kind of talk about this national narrative that's been happening over the last week. You know, Brad Crawford ran out there. Peter Burns ran out there. kind of prepping for football. So we'll talk about that with Carter. Derek Carr retires. We'll get into that with him as well, as he does the Believe in Saints podcast. We'll talk a little bit about recruiting here tonight as well. So we got a lot to get into. Lots and lots to get into before we get rolling. Matthew Conkle says, my boy's standing on business. We always going to stand on business. But, brother, I'm tired of the pettiness. Like, I got blamed for a false report last week. The same guy. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. I don't need to explain it to you if you're on Twitter. Okay? Everybody, literally. Like, you had a guy that reported something wrong. Well, if I would have done that, what would y'all have done? What would y'all have done? Come on, man. Come on. But I'm tired of the pettiness. I'm standing right there in the little posse group. Do something about it. Do something about it. I mean, like, can this shit come to an end? You don't like me. I don't like you. Great. But I will warn people. Proof is a big thing here. And I would say this. When people come after you, you better be careful on why you don't like each other anymore. That's all I'm going to say. And boy. I saw this from Army. I want to get to this. He says, Blake, did you see the current SEC tournament seedings? I did. He says, I think that LSU has the hardest path regardless of a double bye. Auburn, A&M, and Florida can all beat you. Everybody, here's the truth. Relatively speaking, outside of South Carolina, who you face this weekend, and guys, they can take 1 out of 3. Sorry, they can. Every one of those teams can beat you. Here's my thing about the tournament for me, and we'll talk about this. If you win 2 out of 3 this weekend, I think you're going to limit Cade Anderson in a pitch count. You're going to do the same for Anthony Ianson if you find ways to win. Guys, win 1, maybe get out of there, if I'm being honest, in a single elimination tournament. Be honest with you, if you get to 19 to 20 wins, I don't care what that RPI says. And listen, to Army's point here about the tournament, I know that there's a big freak out about the SEC tournament, and you needed to win a couple. Guys, if you get to 20 SEC wins, you're going to be in the top 8. I know that you're 7 in the KPI, which I don't even really understand what that is, and the RPI, which I don't even really understand what that is either, because LSU could have beat Grambling this week by 20 runs, and it wouldn't have mattered. You would have dropped in the RPI. Here's my thing in reference to the RPI. Guys, that's not the selection committee. It's not. You're going to be a top 5 seed. You take care of business this weekend, you will be in that top 5. I promise you that you will be. I promise you. The RPI is a metric based off for what everybody in the sport is at, where everybody in the sport is at. It's not the determining factor. It's very, 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 very rare that the RPI is boom, 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 based off of the statistical stuff that happens in the tournament seeding. Control the controllables. That was the mantra of last week. Control what you can control. Guys, I want to go in there and sweep the shit out of Paul Maneri and put the final stamp on his season. Because he wants to do the same shit to you. But the bottom line is that if you take care of business this weekend, guys, in my humble opinion, you get to that 19, 20 wins in the SEC, dog. I'm sorry. You will be there. You 1,000% will be there. So, but in reference to the tournament, to Army's point, he says, we don't have to show out in the SEC tournament this year to make the tournament. No, you don't. But I will say this too. That is a good point, but that's not your goal, man. It's not your goal. Now, here's the thing. If you win game 1, guys, if you get a double bye, you got to win 3 games to win the whole damn thing. Go win it. You win game 1, you win game 2. Hell yeah, you're going to do everything to win it. Why would you play it if you're not? Why would you play it if you're not? See? She was standing right next to me. Joy Foster says, literally 3 feet away from me and said nothing. Nothing. Listen, I'm done with it. The reason I freaked out about the false report last week is, guys, I will send you screenshots of my DMs. It is atrocious. Is this true? Is that true? Is this true? Is that true? Guys, no. The dude's out there arguing with staff members. It was never a true thing. Trust me. He's not even half, not even remotely close to being half, meaning A.J. Halsey, of the highest paid person on your team. It's not close. Guys, quarterbacks will always make more money than anybody. You can't run with message board, and I love message board genius, speaking of, joy, but I love it, but you can't run with that stuff. It's not reality. There are a couple people that will run to a message board that got really insightful stuff. Not even, I'm just talking about general fans, and you know who they are because they'll constantly be right. This message board reporting is not legit. It's not legit. But I'm tired of it, to be honest with you. I've had it. I'm at my wit's end. Do something about it. Do something about it. Let's see what happens. Like, let's all, myself included, and I'm not saying that I don't have any wrongdoings, myself included. Let's move on. Let's move on. Like, this whole pettiness is stupid. It's so dumb. So anyway, all right. Last one, then we're getting rolling here. Jordan says, Blake, do you see Kentucky as a dark horse? I feel they could be dangerous. No, my team has been, I went on with Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered 3 weeks ago on To Your Point. My dark horse was Auburn, believe it or not. My dark horse was Auburn. That's it. Like my dark horse was Auburn, if I'm being honest. I think they're a really good team, man. I think Auburn's a really, really, really good team. And I watched that entire series off and on with South Carolina and Auburn or was it? Yeah. I mean, Auburn's a good team, man. They're a very good team. Very, very good team. Imagine being sub 500 in football and me coming out here and saying, man, that's a really good team. It's a different sport, man. Completely different. All right, let's get moving here. Let's break down this Arkansas series. But before we do that, everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to all those groups if you're on Facebook and to all of those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell. Wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Let's talk about our good friends over at betonline.ag, our good friend Tyler Alexander over at LPT Realty, and our good friends over at getgrandslamair.com. Before we get to that, guys, as always, let's talk about our good friends over at Service Hawk Digital Media. Guys, if you need the right leads, smart systems with real growth, you need to get a marketing system that works for you today. Guys, if you're an HVAC, you're an electrical pro, generator pro, roofing, whatever the business that you're running, you need to get over to Service Hawk Digital Media. Guys, I have been in this media space for a while now. I'm telling you, Lee, Justin, and the team, there's nobody better to set you up for your business, for your growth when it comes to marketing, better than Service Hawk Digital Media. Go to servicehawk.io today. That's servicehawk.io to get those right leads, smart systems, and real growth. When we come back, we break down the Arkansas series next. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events, with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month and also doing those $99 tune-up promotion. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement, as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to their website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top priority.
We're back.
All right. Sidebar, before we get started talking about LSU and Arkansas this weekend, I want to go around your SEC very quickly. We talked about Texas A&M losing 2 out of 3 to Missouri earlier. I'm not breaking the series down. What I would say is, guys, they're not done, unfortunately. They can still win this weekend. They can still go in the tournament and make a run and make the postseason. It's not over for them. It's going to be really funny if Freezing Cold Takes comes back and literally has to retweet their own thing that they said about A&M. I will remind you that Missouri swept Florida in 2024, and if I'm not mistaken, that Florida team made a little bit of a run. So, I mean, look, baseball, it's not done. But there is something that I want to address because I kind of went after it with Tennessee fans this weekend, or really on Sunday, not even the weekend. But I kind of went after it with them, and I'm sure tomorrow you'll see me talk about this at great length. Nobody's going to say anything to any team or any boxer or any fighter for that matter. When you go out there and you talk shit and you're winning, no one can say anything. It's like the great, was it Migos rap song, walk it like you talk it. If you go out there and you walk it and you talk it, nobody can say anything to you. It's like what the great Muhammad Ali did. He always backed off that ass whooping that he gave people. Like prime Conor McGregor. He always backed up what he talked about. When he walked it and talked it and beat the shit out of everybody, he would predict what round and how he was going to beat the shit out of people, and he did it. Tennessee right now reminds me of today's Conor McGregor. What do I mean by that? McGregor's still out there talking shit, but he's getting his ass whooped. Guys, it is very difficult. In baseball, probably more than any sport. It is very, very, very difficult to win a national title, have to replace damn near your entire roster, and then go back out there and compete. One thing that Tennessee did more than what LSU did a year ago when they had to go up there and try to repeat and were the reigning defending national champions was they ran out true freshmen in their lineup like Ashton Larson, Jake Brown, Stephen Milam, and others. First-time starters like Bear Jones. First-time starters on the mound. So it is very difficult. But it's very weird to me, the energy that I see from Tennessee fans when they run out there and they're defending the shit-talking when they're losing 3 straight series in the SEC, and I've lost 5 out of the last 6 series in the SEC. Nobody thinks it's cute anymore. No one thinks it's cute. Now, if you walk it and you talk it, fine. I can't say nothing. Talk your shit because you're backing it up on the play of field. You're backing it up on the field. But, man, this whole thing about Tennessee people getting mad that somebody needs to throw at a Tennessee player because of all the shit that they're talking. Guys, you've never watched a series with the Yankees and the Red Sox. Roger Clemens would throw. Pedro Martinez would throw at dudes. That's how brawls start. I vividly remember Nolan Ryan beating the shit out of people when they would charge the mound. Vandy goes into Knoxville and beats them 2 out of 3, and they're jawing. Brother, I don't mean this in the wrong way. Sometimes you got to eat your humble pie. Tennessee's been eating it 5 out of the last 6 weekends, even when they came to the boot to do it. Even when they came to the boot to do it. And they couldn't do it. 1:17 a.m., man. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Speaking of 1:17 a.m. My phone's blowing up. All right, just making sure it's not. Yes, Joy was in here earlier. Yes, Joy. So dumb. All right, let's get to it here. So LSU takes 2 out of 3 from a top 10 team in the country in Arkansas. And listen, coming out of this weekend, there's one thing that we got to definitely discuss. Guys, I think that, and we talked about this in the post games, and in case you missed it, we're just going to repeat it very quickly. It would be hard-pressed for you to find a better 1-2 in the country from a starting pitching perspective better than Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson. Now, there were discussions that I even had about Anthony Ianson earlier in the season when some of the performances didn't look great. Now, I reminded you that, look, Ty Floyd kind of had the same similar situations happen to him early in the season in 2023. And then as the season went on, Ty Floyd really shoved in some big moments. It's a different way of doing it, completely different way. And Anthony has actually exceeded what Ty did in the regular season. Because when I look at this weekend against what is, now Ben McDonald started off on Friday by saying that he thought that Arkansas, in every game that he watched, that Arkansas was the most complete team in the country. You just took 2 out of 3 from them. Because Arkansas has lost 3 out of the last 4 series that they've had. Now, they swept Texas, which was a big deal, a Texas team that's really, really hurt right now. Florida also goes into Austin and wins this weekend. But Arkansas is still a very, very good team. Guys, what you did from a pitching perspective this weekend, and even in moments on Sunday, I thought was brilliant. Cade Anderson going 5 2/3 innings. We understand the injury, the cramp, giving up 3 runs, 1 walk, but the 10 strikeouts. I think when I look at Cade Anderson, guys, if that's the floor, like if the Alabama game and the Arkansas game is Cade Anderson's floor, where he gave up a couple of home runs, but he's still striking out 10, and I don't know if he comes out if he doesn't catch the cramp in his wrist or whatever it was. He doesn't get through 6 whole innings. Based off of what he did the weekend before on the road against A&M, who, when A&M's hot, they can be a really good team. They got a lot of talent. But it's not just what Cade Anderson, which some people believe and have a debate on, and I've seen you guys have this debate on Twitter. Is he even really your ace? Now, I think he is, depending on what lineup you're facing for sure. But it's you coming behind that and getting another 6 innings by Anthony Ianson on Saturday, where he only allowed 5 hits and 6 innings pitched, no earns allowed, 1 walk and 11 strikeouts. On Thursday, we talked about, listen, if you don't locate your stuff, this team will kill you. There were times that I thought that Cade Anderson kind of got squeezed a little bit, but some of his off-speed stuff he didn't locate, and it got absolutely touched. On Saturday, and what has been the biggest thing for Anthony Ianson in the change that what we've seen from Oklahoma to now has definitely been, guys, he is locating his off-speed stuff better than probably anybody in the country. The slider, the curveball, the changeup, everything that he's throwing. And he only throws the changeup probably, 12% of the time. And he struck out 2 guys, if you remember Ben talking about that on Saturday, striking out 2 guys, what Ben thought was on that pitch. Even if that's the case, guys, he's picking them up and putting them down and absolutely shoving, and so is Cade. Guys, that alone has led you to finally getting into the last weekend as the number 1 team in the country, because you are the number 1 team in the country right now. Now, hold up. You will hear what I just said and say, Blake said that LSU is a bona fide Omaha lock. I did not say that. Guys, it's going to be very hard-pressed, very, very hard-pressed for you to not look at LSU and say, man, listen, Do they have their flaws? Yeah, they have their flaws. Saturday with Anthony Ianson coming out of the game, your bullpen and Maverick Rizzi, a young freshman, giving up 3 runs. Sure, you have your flaws. Everybody has their flaws. That's why you're ranked number 1 in the country. So even all the flaws that you want to talk about with this team, guys, why are they ranked number 1? Because of everybody having the same issues. Guys, there was 2 weekends ago, Florida State walked in 7 runs. Walked in. You heard what I said correctly. Walked in 7 runs. They're the number 2 team in the country. This is college baseball. I look at what you're getting from your ace and arguably your other ace. Guys, it is damaging. You look at LSU from a super regional aspect. You look at LSU from a regional aspect, and you're gonna need arms to really prevail when you get in a regional. Guys, it's hard pressed for me to not pick LSU at home, which I anticipate them to be, and being one of those top 8 national host sites. It's very hard pressed for me to say that any team in the country can walk in there and beat you 2 out of 3 in the box. Guys, there's a strong chance. I shouldn't say strong chance. There is a chance if you sweep South Carolina this weekend, and if Oklahoma beats Texas, guys, you could be the regular season champion, SEC champion. Guys, if Arkansas wins 2 out of 3 against Tennessee this weekend, and Texas gets swept by Arkansas, or not Arkansas, if Texas gets swept, which I don't think that they will, by Oklahoma, or they lose that series, it's going to be very, very, very competitive on who the top 3 teams in the SEC are. Right now, it is Texas, even though I do not think that Texas deserves necessarily to be the number 1 team, and they're not. But they're probably, unless they have a complete collapse this weekend and Arkansas and LSU really make a big push this weekend, they could lose the regular season. I don't think that Texas will, and I think that they'll at least take 1 out of 3 from Oklahoma. But it's hard-pressed for me to look at anybody else in the country when you literally, let's just say Arkansas wins it and Texas falls. The SEC champion, regular season champion, potentially them being the regular season SEC champion, just came into the box and lost 2 out of 3. By the way, in game 2, you run ruled their ass against a guy in Gabe Woods who had only allowed 1 run in the 2 starts prior to that, against a very potent Texas lineup, by the way. Guys, this team at home is completely different than when they're on the road. Completely different. And most SEC teams are. It is very difficult, very, very difficult to win on the road in this league. Very difficult. You going up, and I think Carter brought this stat to my attention. I don't know. I didn't run this down. But no, Carter was right. He did send it to me. If LSU would have swept Arkansas this weekend, it would only have been the 3rd time that Arkansas has gotten swept under the Dave Van Horn era since 2017. That's insanity. That's pure insanity. I think that there is a lot because of the backs of Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson for you to really feel good about. Now, this weekend, you got to go prove, and I know that South Carolina is not a great team because you haven't hit well on the road all year, and that's just the truth. 2 weekends ago, you just could not hit on the road. Against Oklahoma, you swept that series, but you weren't great at the plate. You weren't. Auburn, you did not have a good showing at the plate on the road. This weekend, you get a chance to end all of that and go in there and beat down a team. Because Maneri's going to do everything he can to take it away from Jay. Everything. Because, guys, you ran Maneri off. If you think that he's not going to be petty and try to do some petty things, you're wrong. He got ran off. Because the whole retirement thing was BS. Now, maybe his neck was really hurting, but he came back after a season, 2 seasons, whatever it was. He was really trying to get in the mix of that Miami head coaching job. He never wanted to retire. But last point about this weekend, we talked about the starting pitching, the one thing I will say, guys, Zach Cowan came in and did Zach Cowan stuff. The 2 weekends before, he kind of got touched a little bit against Alabama and against Arkansas, and clearly against A&M. So last 3 weekends. But he came into the game on Friday night and had 3 innings pitched, only allowing 2 hits, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. Guys, I thought Chase Shores, as an example, had a really good weekend. And I know that there were some situations on Sunday where, quite honestly, I don't think he got the calls that he needed. Can this bullpen continue to develop and do some really good things? Because if they do, guys, you will be a bona fide Omaha team. Lastly, before we get to Carter and breaking and recapping this series, guys, I thought you had some really great approaches at the plate. Some really good ones. You know, like on Sunday where you got a runner on third and Chris Stanfield hits the ball on the ground that's not playable to anybody where they can get the run out at home for you to break the game down to a one run game. The Saturday where he hit a sac fly in the right field. Kate Aaron Beatty had a big hit. Jake Brown went nuclear. Ethan Fry continues to stay red hot. Stephen Milam getting a home run. Can you kind of start breaking out of that mold and find the momentum on the road and continue to do what you're doing? Guys, you have the talent. Danny Dickinson having a couple of hits. Kate Aaron Beatty, for what it's worth, guys, I mean, having a 3-hit day on Saturday. Luis Hernandez coming in and spelling Aaron Beatty and hitting a bomb. I mean, like, this team has the talent to make a deep push. It's going to dictate some of the inconsistencies that you've had at the plate. You know, on Saturday, if there was one thing that you could have complained about, you only got 1 run with the bases loaded. You turn right around and you blow the game wide open when you have the same chance. This team is different at home. You got to continue to keep the same approach and same momentum at the plate. I do think that you struggle against lefties, and that's something that we will need to monitor and something that we've talked about at great length. But the God's honest truth is, man, this series showed you that you at home, you can take on anybody and take them down. Because Arkansas is not just a good team. They're a great team. They might have the SEC Player of the Year that Chase Shores struck out twice. They may be depending on what happens this weekend, might be the regular season SEC champs. And I know that Arkansas's had their problems in the postseason. That doesn't matter to me. They've always and will continue to be really good under Dave Van Horn. And you just took 2 out of 3 of them. I love every bit about it. Love everything about it. The last thing, I saw a team that responded to a week where they did not have a midweek game and they felt rested to me. They don't have a midweek game this week. Their complete and full thought process and momentum will be on South Carolina. We'll talk a lot about South Carolina this week. The last thing to say here, go take it to their ass. That's what needs to be said. All right. Let's do this. Let's get to a quick break. Carter Bryant, Power Hour, joins us next. Stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Foss and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Foss has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. Carter, the Power Bryant. Good evening, good sir. How are you?
16-team playoff makes you feel like what?
Oh, God. Okay. Well, I forgot to write this in my notes to talk to you about it. I hate it. So me and Joe talked about this last night, and I'll have the discussion with you. All right. Here are my notes on it. You ready? Why are you doing it? Bingo. Say to everybody listening on the podcast, Carter just gave the Johnny Manziel lingo.
The Johnny football.
The Johnny Manziel. The Johnny football. Okay. Carter, there's not 16 teams that can win this thing.
Yes.
There are a couple of things that I have a problem with here. I have a problem with auto bids, which I know that you and I have disagreed in the past.
Yeah.
But think about this. If you go to a 16-team situation, a team like Ole Miss and South Carolina gets left out and BYU is in. You get that. So if you're okay with that, then fine, back it up. But you're an idiot if you believe that.
Right. So BYU would get in because there would be two
Big 12 teams.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
SMU gets in. And you can, Carter, me and you have watched this game religiously. Are you really going to sit here and tell me that they deserve a spot over Ole Miss or South Carolina or Bama? Get out of my face with that. Can I be honest with you? I don't think they deserve to be in a place in there with Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, SMU was just a disaster. I know I shouldn't speak ill of LSU's future opponents because they could.
Speaking of SMU, yes.
Yes,
28-29, right.
I'm excited as hell about that. I freaking love Dallas. But
and look, to SMU's credit, they're spending a shitload of money. Good on them. I felt like they got rewarded for doing it the right way. They didn't say anything about it. They put their money where their mouth was, and they got a playoff spot because of it. Good for them. I love Rhett Lashley. Love him to death.
Yeah, I'm very pro SMU. In fact, I think you can make a case that it's a top 10 job. If you want to factor, you can make a case. You can.
No, I can't. Anyway, we'll get to that another day.
Yeah. That's a different day. But as far as the 16,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I hate it. I hated 12-team expansion. They're ruining the sport that we love, and that's basically it. Now, here's the thing. I do think it helps LSU in that LSU oftentimes is that number 3 or number 4 team in the SEC, 5-ish, if you will. So it does make things easier. Go look at LSU in the final polls.
This year.
Yeah. You're oftentimes in those teens, in that range where you can get in. So it does help LSU, but Blake, it destroys me in my core because college football is the best sport we have. I agree. It is the best sport. You make it more like the NFL. You take away what makes college football great. And a 16-team playoff is a step in the right direction. And another thing that's going to be interesting, Blake, are these rumors. And these are being reported by Ross Dellinger. I've known Ross for a while. He's not going to lead anyone astray.
He doesn't report rumors.
Yes.
Not like these are things that are probably actually happening.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What they do at conference championship weekend is going to be weird, right? Like they're talking about play-in games, which I'm very pro as far as that. I'm a big play-in game guy for that game. Well, what say you? How do you feel about?
I hate them, but I'm about to get to that because you're hitting on a major point for me. But continue.
No, I'm curious, and it's on the top of your tongue. Go for
it. If you're gonna do something like that, I better not see another player ever get kicked out of a game and then lose another half of a game for targeting. Because then you just said that player safety doesn't mean shit. Carter, there is a likelihood. Think about this. Let's say that they did that for Ohio State or Ohio State this year. You know, Ohio State would have played 17 games.
So an NFL season, basically, yeah.
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 But we're going to kick a kid out. We're going to kick a kid out because of player safety. But you're adding games. Can you make that logic to me?
No. No.
Exactly.
It's a lot of tackle football. And then you have to factor in with the 16-team playoff that the SEC, and this has been told to me. And once again, I'm not Ross Dellinger. Okay. It's just not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
But from a trusted higher up, there's still very powerful people that want this 9th conference game. And by powerful people, that's on the media side of things, right? They want a 9th conference game. So basically, that could be in exchange, right? Because a lot of SEC teams would say, no, we don't want a 9th conference game. Like, I've done a lot of research on this. The biggest voice against this has been Mitch Barnhart in Kentucky. And he makes a good point, right? As much as I've been a vocal critic of Stoops and Kentucky and all of that, he says, look, we don't need an extra loss in our schedule. So these middle tier programs and lower, like Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, this really hurts them, right? Because if they play a 9th conference game, it's just another loss for them on average.
And Kentucky, there are other schools like South Carolina in there too that have to play Clemson at the end of the year because of rivalry weekend.
Right. And, that it makes it that much harder for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I give South Carolina. I know you love South Carolina.
It's just last year I did because 9-3 is not created equally. It never has been.
Yeah, beating Clemson on the road ended up not counting for something.
Right. It meant nothing. And so my second point to you, or my third point, would have been, what made college football unique? What made it the most unique sport was when you lost on a Saturday, it was devastating.
Yes.
It was devastating. Carter, Ohio State losing to Michigan meant nothing.
Nothing. And I want everyone, and this is the biggest point I will make on the subject, because I've been the biggest anti-expansion guy you will find. Okay. For those that were in the building for 2022 LSU Alabama, right? One of the best moments in LSU football history. What made that moment so special, Blake, wasn't just that was still the big moment of the Brian Kelly era. That's still his, outside of Jaden winning the Heisman, that's still his biggest
You kept Bama out. You kept Bama out, brother. I mean, come on.
That was it. So it wasn't just your own. It wasn't just your own feelings that you felt as an LSU fan. It's that you really hurt Nick Saban towards the end of his career with freaking Bryce Young and Will Anderson and Dallas Turner. Man, that team was freaking loaded. They very well could have won the playoff that year. And that night in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, that ticket that you spent, all the tailgating, all the money that you spent to get there, that ended up being a playoff game. It really ended up being one of the most seismic wins of the last 10 years in the SEC, because I do think Alabama was very, very good that year. And if they would have gotten in, they could have won the entire thing. And, the more you expand, the less those regular season games matter. Yes. And that's where we get into branding. Why do people hate regular season games so much? Well, you tell them that it's a regular season game. No, college football games were never regular season games. They just weren't. They were phenomenal individual playoff games. If you didn't bring it versus Appalachian State, you're out. Or, for my Notre Dame haters out there, if you didn't bring it versus Northern Illinois, you were out. But no, we're just going to ruin the sport. It's going to ruin
here's the thing. It has ruined it. And I brought this up to you last weekend, and I see Joy's comment. She says, it makes it easier for LSU to embarrass themselves in a playoff spot. ? Love that for us.
Oh, the world famous Daily Joy. That's good.
But she brings up a point. I mean, what are you doing it for? In reference to your 9-conference game situation here, why would I? This is what Scott Woolward is saying to me, by the way. Do you know that the Big Ten and the SEC have come to an agreement in reference to having a game between the opponents in the beginning of the year. Right? So meaning they have come to an agreement. I don't know if you saw this, but that they're going to, and eventually this is going to be public. The SEC and the Big Ten are going to merge to have games in the beginning of the season.
So an SEC Big Ten challenge, basically.
Yes, basically. Yeah. Why would I do that if I'm South Carolina, Alabama, LSU, Georgia? Carter, it would have been, think about this. Let's say that was enacted this year. Let's say that Georgia's got to play, I don't know, let's just say Penn State in the beginning of the year. Let's not say Ohio State, but let's just say Penn State. Carter, 8 of their 12 games would have been against ranked opponents.
Yeah. I mean,
think about that for just a second.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, they played a 13th game against Texas again, who was a playoff team. So, like, what are we – everybody talks about Georgia having a down year. My brother, sorry. To the standard of what they just went through, I don't think that they did. Maybe to their standard of winning a national title, but my God. Like, my God. Like, that is pure insanity. They have ruined the sport, and I said this to you last week, and I'll bring it up again. I brought this up on SEC Unfiltered. Name something outside of expansion, which some people still don't like expansion. Name the one thing that Greg Sankey has done to help the sport in the last 5 years.
He's made everybody more money, and that's it.
Okay. Other than that, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
What has he done to help the sport?
Nothing. But nobody wants to say
out there on July the 15th. He will run out there and say and give a long speech in reference to, we need legislation. We need this. Brother, I was the one who covers this sport and watched you get absolutely abused by North Louisiana's own John Kennedy, who said, all right, if you want legislation, what do you want? Carter, he didn't have one detail that he could give John Kennedy. Because I feel like that they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. It's like I went off on coaches last week. Kirby Smart literally went to the podium 2 weeks ago and said, these agents are scum. These players that want to get their money can be scummish. My guy, it was reported the next day that Jared Curtis committed that he's going to make $1 million. On3 reported it.
If your final two schools are Georgia and Oregon.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying? They talk out of both sides of their mouth. The sport is so bad, everything's so bad, and then their actions. And then people will come up in here and say, well, Blake, they got to do it to win. No, they don't. Ask Dabo.
You don't, yeah.
I mean, Dabo literally was the only one standing on business, and he got crucified, pun intended, in reference to him saying the only name, image, and not likeness that I care about is Jesus. And he made a joke about it. It was a joke. Everybody knows what he was saying was a joke. He's not wrong.
But I will tell you this. If Dabo heard you say that he was crucified, dude, he's going to have you walking down the hill. He's going to have you versus LSU. You're going to get to touch the Howard's Rock, man.
Well,
Dabo is smiling.
I just compared him to Jesus, so he's going to – yeah.
Dabo, you are – even though you're enemy number one week one, dude, Dabo is going to get that clip, and he is going to show his team.
Well, it doesn't matter to me. Speaking of Clemson, by the way, did you see Josh Pate's top 20?
Had him number one. And guess what? I agree with him.
Oh, okay. Let's go.
I would actually. I don't. I do think Texas hype is real.
I agree. I agree that they're good too.
Man, dude, they're
all right. But give me your Clemson thought. I mean, you believe the hype is real. Tell me what your thoughts on Clemson.
I think at wide receiver, we're undervaluing how loaded they are there. And, you know, we've talked so much about their defensive line, which is, you know, going to be the strength of their team. You look at all of Dabo's best teams, you remember, obviously, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, T. Higgins, and all of that. But his best teams were with elite defensive lines. Right?
Yes.
You can make a case that Rashard Lawrence defensive line is one of the best ever to be fielded. I said Rashard Lawrence, Dexter Lawrence, excuse me. But their wide receiver room, Wesco and those guys, dude, you'd be proud of me. I was on the treadmill. I decided to watch their highlights again.
Very good. Very good young receiving core.
Dude, they're good players. They are really, really
They exposed Texas.
Yeah, and you think that's the best secondary that was in?
Yeah, it was the best secondary in the country last year.
So,
bar none, by the way. And they had a starting safety that went out.
Yeah, and Blake, I do think they're very good. I don't think that they are, to me, Florida State in Orlando season opening good, where that Florida State
I agree with that.
Was the second best team that year in college football, in my opinion, behind Georgia. Neither made the playoff. But I do think
and Georgia spanked them.
Yes. Which is why the 14 playoff is great, right? Because those games matter. That game versus Alabama mattered. But I don't think Clemson's as good as that Florida State team, Blake, as we know that team was just really, really, really good. But Clemson's very good. I do believe it. And Klubnik has a lot more juice as a runner than we would like to think. And it's important to note that if you play these big games, Club is going to be more willing to run, especially knowing that Clemson, we could say a lot of different things about Dabo and the hokey folksy kind of thing. Between the headset, he is really good. Like a lot of these kind of motivational coaches aren't known for what they are between the headset. Dabo was like very good. I mean, when you think of those Alabama games, he beat the crap out of him and won natty, but he made some really good high leverage decisions in those games with the best between the headset, Nick Saban across the way. So I do think this team is very good. So I don't think Josh Pate was doing a hot take or anything like that. I see it very similar.
There's a couple of things that in context that I want to add to what he said. And he didn't. And listen, I still have yet to listen to his 30-minute segment, so I don't want to put words in his mouth in reference to what he said. There's two things here. Number one, TJ Parker, their edge rusher, might be this is not a Blake Ruffino take. I don't actually agree with this take personally, but I can be wrong here, and others can be right. There are people that have TJ Parker as the number one overall player in the country right now in the draft. He has been on multiple mock drafts of being the number one player in the country. Carter, he had 20 tackles for loss last year. Now, against Texas and against Georgia, he got exposed. He got literally exposed. He didn't do anything. That's going to be a number one thing for me. Can Tyree Adams and Weston Davis really take it to them? That's number one. Number two, you need to go back and watch that Florida State Clemson game from a year ago and tell me what you think about Patrick Payton. I'm getting chills thinking about that film. My dog obliterated their offensive line. There was one snap, Carter, that they moved him inside. He had a rush on Klubnik and made him flush. The reason that game was close, because Florida State sucked. They were horrible. Go look at the disruption that Patrick Payton had against the offensive line that he knows a lot about. That's number one in that one. But, man, he also said something about LSU. He had LSU in his top 5.
Yeah.
I'm asking, do you agree with him on that one too? Do you believe LSU is a top 5 team in the country too?
I have him firmly in my top 10. I probably have him around 7 or 8 right now.
Okay.
And that's where you need to be to make the playoff, right? I as we have talked ad nauseum, I'm worried about the LSU offensive line. But I will tell you this, Blake, and you're more plugged in than I am, but I shared this yesterday on my stream. There's a very prominent person at LSU who's in the know around the whole thing. It's not a player, but he reached out to me and said, Carter, this defense really believes in themselves. And I was like,
they do. I'll give them that.
And I was like, I don't believe that because they all just got there. They don't know each other. Like, no, Carter, they really do believe that this defense is going to be.
Pause. Jack Pyburn, day one. It's when it started. I've told this story 40 times already. I told it to you. Go ahead and fuck up.
Yeah.
Go ahead and don't go 100%. You go right on ahead.
Blake, I was vocal about this on your show last year going into the season. I did not think the LSU defense was ready for a full season, and it showed itself, right? I also think that the staff kind of knew that going into the year, that defensively they just did not have the thoroughbreds in the stable for what they were going to face. But now, especially on the defensive side of the football, with all the money that was spent, and a lot of guys that played a lot of snaps last year are back, okay? There are no excuses. This defense needs to be a very
It's top
good
30
defense.
or bust.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the bear. They've got to be ridiculously good this year. And I know that so much of what you do defensively comes down to the quarterback you're facing. This is going to be such a difficult schedule in terms of quarterbacks. I will also admit, Blake, today was the first day that I really sat down and watched John Mateer of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I did not know he was as like he's close to being like
Carter.
really, 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 really good as a like as good of a runner as some of these other guys on
Yes.
LSU. That his runs were freaking ridiculous.
Hold on. Pause. And before you say that, oh, the dude was at Washington State. What do we? The number one pick in the country before going to Miami was at Washington State with the same dude, the same OC.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like
Mateer's a dog, brother. Think about this. You have of the teams that he had in his top 20, you faced 7 of them.
Yes. And
yeah.
So
remember 2 weeks ago when you and I had the conversation about LSU? I mean this I mean this in my core. I think you have the toughest schedule in the country. You're going to have to start. Now, I understand that it's preseason and football comes here, and my take could be completely wrong. I know that you're facing 7 really freaking good quarterbacks that can beat you. That's the part where this, and to your point about the defense, that's why they got to be so damn good.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way,
I'm with you.
We haven't even talked about Bama. I mean, we have no idea what's going to happen at quarterback there. So it could be 8 teams that you're facing really strong quarterbacks, brother.
Yeah. I'll be honest, man. I do think this LSU defense will be good. I will say though, Blake, I did a deep dive on it. Anyone could go see it. In my thumbnail, it says RYBC. LSU.
Is it RYBC?
Yes. LSU was the worst rush yards before contact.
Oh, I saw this. Yes.
SEC play per SEC StatCat defense ever. So we have got to do a better job defending the run. All right.
We have to. I hear you, dog. She agrees with you. That's all she's saying.
Yeah. Well, let me go deal with this as always.
All right. Well, can I ask you one more question before we leave?
Of course. Ain't gone in.
Well, I was going to ask you about Derek Carr.
Oh, F him. That's all I got to say. Huh?
Carter Bryant. We'll see you next week, buddy.
All right, buddy. Cheers.
Carter the Power Bryant. Always fantastic. So listen, I want to piggyback off of that, what Carter just said there. In case you missed it, I can go to Pate's tweet. No, y'all go to it. So he put out his top 25 rankings, not like power rankings, but actual like rankings post spring. Here's what I'm going to say about that. Okay, I want to add on to this really quickly. You face Clemson. You face Ole Miss, which, by the way, we don't know what Austin Simmons is. I mean, Austin Simmons, for what it's worth, he graduated at 19 years old. He's been there 2 years and he's already graduated. That's insane. But you face 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams in his top 20. He did have LSU at number 5. For me, I can't put LSU at 5, man. I don't think that they're a top 5 team coming into the season. There's way too many question marks. I did do a very rough draft. Top 20. I had LSU somewhere around 8, 9, if I'm being blunt. I had them right at 8 and 9 because there were teams like he had LSU ahead of Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State. Yeah, he had them above of Oregon, Georgia, Ohio State. I don't know if LSU's better than Oregon, Georgia, or Ohio State yet. I don't know that. Can they be? Yes. But to the point in reference to what he's saying, I mean, listen, man, I can see it. But you face, let's see, in his top 20, you face Ole Miss, you face Clemson, you face A&M, you face Florida, you face South Carolina, you face Oklahoma, and I'm missing one. Oh, you face Bama. So 7. That's a hell of a schedule, brother. Any way that you slice it, that's a hell of a schedule. So we'll see. All right. We will see y'all again tomorrow, man. Y'all have a blessed day. We have T-ball today, so we had to go earlier. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to hit the like and share on the way out. Until tomorrow, we'll see y'all soon. Y'all have a good day. Peace.